So we're going to get through review very quickly because we have already used up a little bit of our review time with the technical difficulties. Here on this screen, you can see what we've already gone through, and you can see where we are going. The definition of wellness, according to Pfizer, wellness is the act of practicing healthy habits on a daily basis to attain better physical and mental health outcomes so that you can do more than survive, you can also thrive. So I want you to ask yourself, are you surviving or are you thriving? Are you just getting by? Are you worried? Do you have anxiety? Or do you have a plan? Even in the midst of a plan, things may not be going the way you want, but you know that your plan is going to get you to where you're trying to go. And so I want you to get to the place of wellness where you understand that you are working through a plan and you are thriving. Stair step number 1 was to spend less money. We live by the 10-10-30-50. The first 10% is for tithing or giving. The next 10% is for saving. 30% is for incidentals on a separate debit card, for groceries, gas, hair, and nails. And the remaining 50% is in your checking account for your bills. If you don't have enough money, subtract non-essential expenses. If you have more than enough money, then get rid of your debt, because money will work harder for you than you can work for it. So if you are paying debt, that means somebody else is earning the interest that you could earn. So you want to get rid of the middleman. Number 2, get more money. One stream of income is hazardous to your wealth. You want 4 streams of income. As an employee, if you're blessed to be in that category, carry on. Self-employment, having a home-based business. B, business, having a business where you can leverage other people's time for money. And then investment, where you do nothing but watch your money come in based on the actions and the decisions that you have put in place. Okay. Number 3, get your money back. What do I mean? Start a home-based business so you can increase cash flow and minimize your taxes with access to hundreds of deductions. When you go out to eat for personal reasons, you don't get your money back. When you go out to eat for business reasons, you do. So you want to remember all of the tax deductions related to having a home-based business. Number 4 was to make your money grow. When you put your money in the right instruments, it can now start working as hard as you are working, or it can work harder than you are working. That's very important. And then number 5 was to protect your wealth. Protect your wealth with life insurance, business and key man insurance. I'm also going to add in here disability insurance, a pension. If you do not work on a job where they provide a pension, create your own with an annuity. Long-term care. You never know when you are going to be in a position where you cannot provide 2 activities of daily living. That could be feeding yourself, putting your own clothes, going to the restroom, transitioning. Transitioning means getting up out of a chair, sitting down in one, getting up out of the bed, laying down in one, clothing yourself. There's all these things that you may be in a position where you cannot do, and long-term care protects that. And then finally, an estate plan. A will is not enough. It can be contested. So you want an estate plan with a trust in place to protect your wealth. And let me tell you this, everybody has wealth. Every last one of you has something that you can protect. So now we're going to go on to own where you live. Don't pay your landlord's mortgage, pay your own. And that's exactly what you are doing when you pay your landlord's mortgage. Now, I understand that we are living in a day and time where it, in many cases, is more difficult to rent than it is to own. This is why you need to understand the mathematics and the process of owning a home. We're going to cover the benefits of homeownership, overcoming denials, the kiddie condo, the FHA 203K, and the reverse mortgage. And then I'm going to answer as many questions as I can for each and every one of you who are here tonight. So first, let's talk about the benefits of home ownership. Let's understand wealth. Wealth is accumulated by inheritance. How many of you have a rich uncle, grandmother, grandfather, mother, father, aunt, or someone in your family that has left an amass of wealth to you? For most of us, that answer does not exist. We do not have an inheritance. Well, the next area where wealth is accumulated, it's by real estate ownership. And while inheritance may not be in your control, real estate ownership is in your control. Why? Because there's only so much land. And if you can purchase it, what you can guarantee over time is that that land will increase in value. You can develop that land. You can create rental property on that land. You can collect rental property on that land. One of my favorite games is Monopoly. I play it with all of my family, so much so that they won't even play it with me now. Because one of the taglines of Monopoly is it's the game of life, and it truly is. You land on someone else's property and you must pay rent. So real estate ownership is one of the foundations to building wealth. Business ownership is another way, and we've talked about that. If you can create systems and franchises, you can see your way to wealth. Winning the lottery, that's only 1 in 5 million. What I'm going to tell you about real estate ownership can be a 100% chance of success if you follow the strategies. Business ownership can be success if you follow the strategies. But here's the deal about the lottery. You can play every day and never win. You can play every Sunday and never win. You can choose your favorite numbers and never win. So winning the lottery, although it is a path to wealth, it is not likely. What is likely and what is within your control is real estate ownership. And it is one of the simple, most utilized ways of maintaining your own existence on earth. And that is to make a decision to own where you live. Now, there may be other ways of gaining wealth, and those ways are mass and they are out there in the space. You can get a sugar mama, a sugar daddy, you can figure something out. But I'm going to tell you, if you want to bet on something, if you want to bet on accumulation of wealth, if you want to bet on integrity, if you want to bet on equity, then where you place your bet is on homeownership. So I want you to understand that. And it does not matter what the interest rates are, because the interest rate on your rent is 1,000%. When I first came into the mortgage business, interest rates were 10%, 12%. It didn't matter, because if you are paying your landlord's mortgage, if you're paying $1,500 a month, then you are spending $18,000 a year on something that will never belong to you. In 5 years, it's $90,000. In 10 years, it's $180,000. How many of you have been renting for 5 years or 10 years? How much money have you given to something that will never belong to you? Now, I'm not saying today is your day to buy a home, but I am saying today is the day that you can prepare. Okay? So, step number 6 is to own where you live. So let's talk about the benefits of home ownership. Let's talk first about the tax benefits. You get to write off the interest that you pay on your mortgage. Let's say, for example, your mortgage is $1,000 a month. 100 may be going to pay the loan down, but 900 is going towards interest. In the early days, you are paying more towards interest than you are towards the principal. So if I'm paying $900 towards interest every month, what is 9 times 12? That means it's $10,800 per month that I get to write off as a tax write-off. So that's going to help me pay less taxes, and at the same time, I'm gaining equity. The next benefit is net worth. Most people who have a positive net worth own real estate. That means I bought a property for $50,000 and now it's worth $100,000. I bought a property for $100,000 and now it's worth $500,000. I bought a property worth $500,000 and now it's worth $1 million. That net worth means something. Stability. You get to control your living circumstances. No one gets to tell you when you move, you make that decision. Financial security. When you are a homeowner, you can also get access to additional funds. For example, a home equity line of credit, so you can get solar panels or improve your property or take care of other emergencies. Social stature. There is a certain stature that you live in when you are a homeowner, and you have freedom. Now, let me be clear. If you cannot afford to own a home, if you have not done a budget analysis, if you have not taken a real close look at your expenses, what you are spending on food, clothing, extracurricular activities for yourself and your kids, ballet, tap, jazz, karate, football, then you may have to hit the reset button. But the truth is, homeownership provides freedom. Homeownership as the foundation for wealth creation quantifies and secures many of the benefits of receiving a college education. And what I want to say to you is this. We were taught to get a college education. Many of us got a college education and had too many student loans and then couldn't afford to buy a home. And with that college education, ended up living in poverty. Well, home ownership is a precursor even to a college education, because there are many people who have student loans that are equivalent to a mortgage, but they don't have a house. If you have $100,000 in student loans, that's a mortgage with no house. And that doesn't mean the end is over for you. That simply means that there are steps ahead of you to help you get where you're trying to go. So I want to talk to you about a few programs that I think that can help you. One is overcoming denials. When you go to get approved for a mortgage, the only thing you need to submit in the beginning is your pay stubs and W-2s. Do not submit your tax returns, even if they are requested. Let me repeat. Submit your pay stubs and your W-2s. Do not submit your tax returns, even if they are requested. Let me explain to you why. Because when you apply for a mortgage, the underwriter is required to look at the income that you disclose. And if you disclose that you work for a company and you receive a pay stub and a W-2, you are not required to disclose your self-employment income. Let me repeat. You are not required, nor are you breaking a law, nor are you telling an untruth if you fail to disclose your self-employment income. Do not let the mortgage company or the underwriter make you think any different. On your mortgage application, it says you do not have to disclose income from, and it gives a whole list of items. You do not have to disclose income from alimony or child support or disability or Social Security or other income or your home-based business unless you want to. Before you submit tax returns, you want to be sure that those tax returns are going to help you and not hurt you. Because if you claimed any losses on your tax returns, it could affect your qualifying income for getting a mortgage. Let me explain to you. Let's say, for example, you made $100,000 on your W-2. So the underwriter is saying you made $100,000. But let's say you started a business and you took a $20,000 loss. Well, now your income is going to be the 100,000 minus the 20,000, which equals 80,000, and you might not qualify for the home that you were looking for. Now, you might be saying to me, Lynn, is this honest or dishonest? The truth is, it's honest because your losses were simply costs against your cell phone, your meals, and things that you paid for the business. You might not be at a physical loss in real life, but you are at a loss on paper. So here is the thing to leave this class with. When you apply for a mortgage, supply your pay stubs and W-2s. If your tax returns are requested, you want to have a further discussion before you submit them. You want to be sure that tax returns are absolutely needed. I have seen bias in this industry where a tax return was only requested to see if you owe the government any taxes. Whether or not you owe the government any taxes, and if you're on a payment plan, is not the underwriter's business. I've seen it happen. So if you owe back taxes and you have a payment plan, that's not the underwriter's business. So your tax returns are only to be used when they are required. Let me talk to you next about debt to income ratio. Your debt to income ratio is the amount of debt divided by your income. So if you have $5,000 worth of debt per month and you have $10,000 worth of income, 5,000 divided by 10,000 equals 50%. In most cases, your debt to income ratio needs to be 43% or less. Are there instances where your debt to income ratio can be higher? Yes, but I'm not going to speak about the extreme circumstances. I'm going to speak about the most relevant circumstances. And your goal should be to keep your debt to income ratio 43% or less. Let me tell you what goes into your debt to income ratio. Your credit card bill, your car note, your student loan, your furniture bill. Here's what does not go into your debt ratio. Your cell phone bill, your daycare bill, your light, gas, telephone. Those are not included in your debt to income ratio. But let's just say, for example, you decide to buy a condo or a townhome. If you buy a condo or a townhome, you may have what's called an assessment. That assessment covers utilities. It covers them making sure your grass and your lawn looks good. And it covers certain updates to your individual unit. If you are applying for a mortgage and you have an assessment and someone tells you that your debt to income ratio is too high, you can request a budget from the Homeowners Association. And in that budget, they will show you what's allocated to light and gas and utilities. If, for example, your light, gas, and utilities are $200 a month, they need to subtract that from your debt to income ratio so you can qualify. Okay? So debt to income ratios are a big reason why people get denied. Here's another reason why you can get denied. Let's say you're paying on a car note and they say your mortgage got denied because your car note is too expensive. Well, if your car note is less than 10 months from being paid off, they do not calculate your car note in your debt to income ratio. If your student loan is 10 months from being paid off, If your furniture bill, any installment debt that is less than 10 months from being paid off does not need to be included in your debt to income ratio. And you need to know that. The last thing I'm going to talk about a letter of explanation. Let's just say, for example, you had excellent credit for the past 20 years. And then during the pandemic, someone passed. You lost an income. That's a letter of explanation. It's called an LOX. And an underwriter is required to consider your letter of explanation to explain a one-time circumstance that is not expected to continue. So if you are denied a mortgage, I want you to look at these three things: pay stubs and W-2s versus tax returns. Pay stubs and W-2s are what they are. A tax return is questionable. Debt to income ratio. Make sure that the debts that are included in your calculation actually belong there. And then letters of explanation. If you had an interruption of income, if your credit score dropped, if something happened due to COVID or a loss in income or a divorce or a death in your family, you can explain that and still get approved for a mortgage. As a loan officer, my job is to present your case to the judge. The judge is the underwriter. And if you are in fear that your case will not be represented well, then ensure that you're working with a loan officer who knows the industry, who can protect you. Okay? The next thing I want you to know about is the FHA 203K. This is a loan program that allows you to convert your home. You may find a 2-unit building that you want to convert into a single family. You may find a 4-unit building that you may want to convert into 2 units. You may find a single family home that you may want to convert into 4 units. As long as your property is 4 units or less, after you convert it, you can do an FHA 203K loan. This is for those of you entrepreneurs. Maybe you want a hair salon on the first floor. You want to live on the second floor, and then you want to rent out the third and the fourth floor. An FHA 203K is for you. The rent from your business and the rent from your tenants is going to pay your mortgage. It's brilliant. The other thing with an FHA 203K is that you have no mortgage payment for 6 months. So when you get an FHA 203K mortgage, you are assigned a HUD consultant. That is short for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Marsha Fudge is now the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. So one of her consultants will work with you and your contractor to make sure that your changes to your property are compliant and that they are reasonable. Some of the things that you can do to your home, you can update the paint, the carpet. You can update your kitchen or your bathroom, your bedrooms. You can add in new electricity systems. You can change it from electricity to solar panel. You can provide almost any update that you can dream of in your rehab. So you may be looking for the home of your dreams, but you can't find it, but you can certainly rehab it. And you will have a HUD consultant there to help you throughout the process. And during the rehab, there is no mortgage payment for 6 months. Okay? So let me give you an example. You can find a home for $200,000. The HUD consultant and the contractor will say, to rehab your home, it's going to take $100,000. You can get the loan for the 200 plus the 100. You can put down 3% or less and have no mortgage payments. So do not believe that you are stuck with the inventory that is out there. You can create your dream home. That's what I want you to know about the FHA 203K. You can create or convert your dream home. Very important. The next thing I want you to know about owning where you live is what I've taught my daughters about the kitty condo. Many college students move out of the dorm midway through freshman year or sophomore year. And what they do is they go get 4 or 5 friends and they rent a condo or a townhouse. And they pay rent to someone else. And each of them is paying $1,200 to $1,500. So if it's 4 of you all, you are paying $6,000 a month. Well, what I'm saying is, and this is what I have done with my own clients, you can use the Kitty Condo program and your college student can buy their own property. The college student does not need an income. All they need is a co-signer. The co-signer guarantees the mortgage. But then you move in 3 roommates. Most of those roommates are going to get a refund check the first or second week of school. And in many cases, they pay their rent up front. So your mortgage is paid. Your college student has no expense for housing because they're living for free in the bedroom of the townhouse or the condo, and the roommates are paying for the mortgage. So instead of renting, you are now owning where you live. And in the instance of one of my first customers, my first client, she's a member of my sorority, her daughter went to a state school. So she lived in one state, but she went to another state and went to a state school. Not only did she eliminate her housing expense in its entirety, she also reduced her tuition, because once she bought the property in that state, she was an in-state resident, which meant her tuition went from $15,000 to $3,000. Okay? So the kitty condo is something that you should be looking at. And whenever I talk to people from different cultures and backgrounds that are not underserved, they understand this and they get it. And even when that college student graduates, they understand they can either sell that property and cash out on the equity or continue renting and earn income. So it's all about a strategy and a plan for you to get to the next level. Now I want to talk to you about a reverse mortgage. And then after this, I'm going to open it up for questions and answers. A reverse mortgage provides an opportunity for the senior citizen who is 62 years or older to get paid. In a regular mortgage, you pay the mortgage, every single month, and your balance goes down. In a reverse mortgage, the mortgage company pays you and the balance goes up. So you might be thinking, Lynn, why would I ever do this? Well, do you have any loved ones who are trying to figure out how to pay for their diabetes medication or their rent? How to pay for their high blood pressure medication or their mortgage? How to pay for their light gas bills or their mortgage payment? And let me explain something to you all. As many of us who love our parents and our elderly ones, if you are not helping them with the expense, you're not helping. So a reverse mortgage is a government program In order to get a reverse mortgage, you have to speak with a HUD consultant. HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, is currently run by Marsha Fudge, and she is an upstanding individual. And if you want a reverse mortgage, you have to go through one of those programs. It is not a scheme to take your home. The government does not want your house. The government is now shelling out billions of dollars to help people who are in distress. If they wanted to get your house, they could just take it. This is a way to help individuals, senior citizens, who don't have the family support or the financial resources to live in comfort. Now, here's what I say. Let's say, for example, you're 65, you own a house. Let's say the house is worth $500,000. You only owe $100,000. You're still paying the mortgage. You're trying to figure out how you're going to make ends meet. Get a reverse mortgage. The mortgage company will still start to pay you every month $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for the rest of your life. And at the same time, get a life insurance policy. I talked about life insurance during the stair step number 5. Get a life insurance policy. Get a mortgage credit life insurance policy to pay off the mortgage when you are deceased. That way, when you pass on, the mortgage still transfers to your heirs debt-free. The house transfers to your heirs debt-free, and it's paid off. Listen, there is more than one way to skin a cat. And if you want to achieve long-term wealth, at some point, you're going to own where you live. You're either going to own where you live and eliminate your housing expense or minimize it or increase your cash flow, or you're going to buy investment property. You're going to rehab property. You're going to consider an FHA 203K or reverse mortgage, but don't give up. Get educated about the opportunities that are available for you. And so what I'm going to spend the rest of this session doing is answering your questions about homeownership, overcoming credit obstacles, overcoming market obstacles, because there is a system in place to keep you from owning, but you don't have to succumb to that system. What you want to do is gain financial health and wellness and understand the options, do your research and your homework, and go to the next level. Okay? So, your homework assignment is to get a home buying analysis at asklynn.org. If you either don't own a home and you want to, or you already own something, you're trying to figure it out. Okay? I want you to visit our website for more information at www.deltafoundation.net. The link is there. And then if you have general questions that you want to ask on a consistent basis, just go to lynnrichardson.org and join our group where we're always answering any questions that you may have on a daily basis. Okay? So I want you to be empowered. I want you to be inspired. And I want you to own where you live. So each and every one of these steps, it's not something you can do in one day. Step number 1 takes about 30 to 60 days to complete. Step number 2 is a strategy, building streams of income. Step number 3 is a lifelong commitment. Step number 4 requires understanding what the options are. And step number 5, protect your wealth, means you do one thing at a time as you have the resources. Step number 6, own where you live. That too is a process. So I don't want anyone here feeling as if you are behind. You are right on time. What you are doing is getting the blueprint, and the blueprint is financial health and wellness. And I'm going to turn it over to my moderator. And I'm thankful to DREF and to Toyota for having this session with us today. I'm going to turn it over to our moderator now. And then when I come back, we will open it up for Q&A. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to week 6 of the dynamic Financial Health and Wellness Program presented by the Delta Research and Educational Foundation and made possible by the Toyota Foundation. We trust that you are receiving more helpful information this week. I know that I am. I am Antoinette Rogers, Director of Programs for DREF. And we are grateful, as always, to Dr. Lynn Richardson for her wealth of information. And we are grateful to you, our participants. We've been going for 6 weeks now, and we have some of you who have been with us for all 6 weeks. If you have been with us since the very beginning, we'd like you to take this time to either raise your hand or put a thumbs up on your device. There is some mechanism that will allow you to let us know if you have been here with us all 6 weeks, and we want to see who you are. We thank you for those who have been here with us. But if you haven't been here for all 6 weeks, we are glad that you are here, and we hope that you continue. We will be doing this through November 16th. And the wonderful news is that if you have missed any of our weekly sessions, you can go back and watch the replay on YouTube or on the DREF website. And that URL for the DREF website is www.deltafoundation.net. This week, we have been talking about owning where we live. And as is our custom, we have some great prizes this week to give away, including a book entitled Real Estate, a Quick Start Guide, and some gift cards. So I'd like to start by giving away our 2 books to the first 2 persons who logged on this evening, and they are Ayana T. and Sandy B. Ayana T. and Sandy B., please make sure that you email us at the email address provided in the chat. FWHP Financial Health and Wellness Program at deltafoundation.net. You will receive Real Estate, a Quick Start Guide. Now, each week, we always look to see where our participants are watching and from where you hail. And this week, we'd like to award a prize of the $50 gift card to our first international login for the evening. And that goes to Venetia E. from St. Lucia, West Indies. I wish I were in St. Lucia right now. I'm going to have to figure out, Dr. Lynn, how to save my money so I can go on a vacation. All right. Each week, as is our custom as well, we always reflect on our homework assignments or our reflections. And one of the questions that we asked in the chat is, what is one step you've taken to put your estate plan in place? And we have Sharina G., who says she started her research on her estate plan. And we also have Stephanie J., who spoke to an estate attorney. So congratulations to you 2 ladies. You are winners of $50 gift cards. Next, we asked, how have you paid yourself? Dr. Lynn told us it's very important to pay ourselves to save. And we have Demia F, who says that she has money transferred from her paycheck into her savings account automatically each pay period. And we also have Darlene L, who says that she has put money into her 403 plan. We congratulate all of our winners. We thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned because you never know when we may pull out some additional great prizes. Back to you now, Dr. Lynn. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thank you so much. I want to make sure that we can get to all of the questions. And I have got my presentation on the screen. And I want to answer as many questions as I can and ensure that we can help as many people get on the road to homeownership and to owning where you live as possible. So do we have our first question?
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Lynn. How do we get around the pressure they place in requesting the tax returns?
The pressure is to say no. That's it. It's just as simple. You must remember that this is not a death sentence. You are not going to jail. It is not court. You are not required to submit anything that is unnecessary. And so when your tax returns are requested, you should ask, why do you want my tax returns? And they must supply an answer. If you are told, we want to see the income from your self-employment, you can say, I'm not using my self-employment income to qualify. I'm using my W-2 income to qualify. More important than anything is that you want to have an advocate. So when you don't have the answer, you have someone. That's why our community group is so important at lynnrichardson.org and at deltafoundation.net. So you can ask the questions to know if what you are being asked is legitimate. I need everyone here to understand discrimination still takes place. It is alive and well. It is one of the reasons why I'm here with you today, because I see it all the time. And so I want to be sure that you know your rights. And if you feel pressure to provide something that you are not required to provide, you need to speak up. That's an excellent question. Thank you.
As a sole proprietor, what backup source is required beyond the profit and loss statement for home ownership?
If you are a sole proprietor, you're either going to need 24 months of bank statements showing income coming in. So, for example, let's just say, for example, you have on average $20,000 per month coming in. Now, as a sole proprietor, I know that you have expenses going against that. But if you have a high enough credit score, in many cases, that is 680 or higher, they will not look at your expenses. They will look at your income, and they will assume that you have sense enough to make sure that the income you have coming in covers your expenses, which includes your mortgage and so on and so forth. So that's why it's important to manage your credit score, which we're going to talk about in stair step number 7. And I have a whole system for personal and business credit in stair step number 7. So you should tell everybody to get here next week. But for stair step number 6, owning where you live, it is about you being knowledgeable and or having an advocate to speak on your behalf. Thank you. That's an excellent question.
What advice would you give someone who is looking to buy a home for the first time and how they should prepare for the first step?
The first step is to get your budget under control. Are you living by the 10, 10, 30, 50? Do you have enough money to comfortably tithe or give, to comfortably save, to spend on your incidentals, the things that are important to you, the groceries that you buy, the gas in your car, your self-care appointments, hair, nails, going to the barbershop, whatever it is? And do you have enough money for your bills? That's the first step. If you have trouble there, then you need to get not your tithing in order, not your saving in order. You need to get your incidentals in order. What are you spending money on that's preventing you from achieving your real dream? I'm going to give you an example. I was spending money on helping other people. The best thing you can do for broke people is not be one of them. I was helping so many people that I was broke right with them. That's not where you want to be. So some of us give out of guilt. Some of us give because we're the first in our family. Some of us give because we are, the first to go to college or the first to whatever it is. You don't give from a broken place. You give from a full place. So the first thing to understanding is, can I buy a house? Is, can I manage my budget? Can I manage my emotions? Because if you cannot manage your emotions as a renter, they're going to get severely out of control as a homeowner. Because as a homeowner, now you're going to want to invite everybody over for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. You're going to go overspend. You're going to get more credit. No, that's not the answer. The first step is managing the money that you have and understanding that numbers don't lie. And numbers are your friend. Numbers are not wishy-washy like the weather. You don't know if it's going to be hot or cold, if it's going to rain, if there's going to be snow or hurricane. But money is consistent. It says, if you add me up, 1 + 1 = 2. Every day, all day, no matter where you go, no matter what your color is, your gender is, your city, state, or zip code, I am consistent. So you should rely on the consistency of money being able to add itself up and always come up with the same sum. And from there, you can create anything. Thank you for that question. That was excellent.
What if the senior citizen is renting and in financial distress? Is there a program to assist such renters?
The program to assist any renter is to get out of distress. 1, to get your budget in order. 2, to get your credit in order. And 3, to work with a mortgage professional or a financial coach who can help you present your case to an underwriter so that you can no longer live in bondage. What I just said, it doesn't matter what age you are. You can be 20, 60, or 100. It's the exact same thing. The fact that you are a senior citizen does not make you more or less vulnerable. It does not make you more or less eligible to become a homeowner. If you can do those steps, you can own. One of my very first clients when I came into the mortgage business 23 years ago, 24, 25 years ago. I don't know. I think it's been long. No, it's been almost 30 years. So it's 27 years ago. Was a 72-year-old retired firefighter in Evanston. He and his wife had never owned a home. The rules for him are the same as the rules for you. Get your budget under control. Look at what you're spending. The very first week, I gave you the 10, 10, 30, 50 worksheet. The reason why I'm not giving any more significant, difficult homework is because you still got to work on that. You still got to track that spending. I'm just into week number 6. You just had 1 month where you could see where all your money is going. And if you've been honest with yourself to make some adjustments. Okay? So senior or not, that is the strategy. Thank you for that question. What's next?
I am a realtor. Why would you do a reverse mortgage versus a home equity line of credit? Equity line of credit has much less interest.
The reason why someone would do a reverse mortgage is because a reverse mortgage does not require pay stubs, W-2s, a credit score, or a bank statement. That's why. Excellent question, realtor. But I want you to know your business. If you say you're a realtor, then know your business. If someone goes to apply for a home equity line of credit, they need to qualify. They need to show that they have more than enough income and substantial credit to pay back a home equity loan. And I want whoever asked that question, I want you to reach out to me personally because you don't know your craft if you're asking that question. And if you are encountering senior citizens with that knowledge, I pray for you and for them because you're wrong. So a senior citizen who is living on a limited income cannot qualify for a home equity line of credit because the debt to income ratio is too high. Let's take Miss Jones, who has a home worth $700,000 and she owes nothing on it or owns $100,000. And she only receives $1,200 in her Social Security and her pension. That means her outstanding debt cannot be more than 50% of her income, $600. Well, how much money do you want her to get? Do you want her to get enough money to buy a candy bar, a Snicker, or a pack of M&Ms? Or do you want her to have enough money to actually be able to pay down her debt and live the rest of her life in freedom? And when this question is presented to me by people who claim to be licensed in the mortgage industry, I'm going to tell you, it upsets me. Because this is the reason why our people don't get ahead, because of people who are unknowledgeable and spread negative, false narratives and propaganda. Now, if you are a senior citizen and your credit is in order and you've got enough income and you have equity in your home, then yes, go do a home equity line of credit any day, all day. But that's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the millions of senior citizens who are borderline homeless, whose children do not have any resources for them, who are struggling every month to pay their mortgage or their medicine. And nobody has a solution except the government. And it's called a reverse mortgage. So get educated. Do not be confused and do not be twisted into lies by people who don't know what they're talking about. And I have to say that because so many of our senior citizens are struggling because someone will come up and say and ask a question just like that. And I have to tell you, it's not something that I take on lightly. Senior citizens and babies should not be suffering. But every day we see them homeless and suffering without knowledge. Knowledge is not power until you put it into action. And if you are a senior citizen and you're struggling, please do not let a non-knowledgeable and unknowledgeable realtor, sibling, child, family member, or professional tell you what you should be doing. Go speak with a HUD advisor. I told you all early on, forget what people think. And I'm going to say it in this area. If you're a senior citizen, forget what people think. Get the knowledge that you need to make the decisions that you need to make to preserve your legacy and to live out the rest of your days in peace. Thank you for the question.
What about the opinion that you should own an investment property before purchasing where you live?
The opinion is just that everyone has one. That's what the answer is to that. Everybody has a different diagnosis. You cannot tell one patient that they should take a certain medication based on their individual circumstances and then give that same prescription to another patient. Every patient is different. So if it is your goal to own investment property before you own a property where you live in, okay, that's your prescription. That's okay. But that's not everyone's prescription. Go and get the analysis and the prescription that belongs to you. Thank you for that question.
Okay, so we have another question about the reverse mortgage versus the home equity line. What are the disadvantages of a reverse mortgage, and is it a better option than a home equity line of credit?
There are no disadvantages to a reverse mortgage for someone who can't pay their bills, period. And don't ask that question again. Next question.
Can I do an FHA 203K loan on my current home to do upgrades, or is that only if I am buying a home that needs to be rehabbed?
Excellent, beautiful question. You can do a FHA 203K refinance on your existing property. So you may be in a property where you once had 5 bedrooms, but now you don't need that many bedrooms because your kids have gone off to college. You can convert that home into a 2-family and rent out half of that home, or a 3-family, rent out 2/3 of that home. You can go the other way. You can say, I had a 4-unit building and now I need all the space. I'm going to convert it into a single family. So you can use the FHA 203K refinance program to refinance or purchase. And in both cases, you will have no mortgage payments for 6 months. Excellent question.
I have a money market account. Is that considered the same as a high yield savings account?
I do not know the answer to that question. You have to go and check your bank statements to find out if your money market account is high yield savings. I can't answer that question for you without seeing your paperwork. Okay. Now, if you have a high yield savings account, you should have some communication that says it's a high yield savings account. And the interest rate should probably be 4% or higher. If it's not, I'm not going to tell you that it's not, but you need to either look at that paperwork or reach out so that you can have someone review it with you. Excellent question.
Do you recommend making additional payments on your mortgage to pay it off early?
Absolutely. If you have a 30-year mortgage and you make one extra payment a year, you pay it off in 23 years. Here's another way. If you have a 30-year mortgage and you pay it every other week, there are 52 weeks in a year. That means there's 26 half payments. That means there's 13 full payments. If you pay it once a month, that's 12 full payments. So by paying your mortgage every other week, you essentially make one extra payment a year. So you pay the mortgage off in 23 years. But let me tell you this. Let's just say you decide to take your mortgage payment and pay it every other week. But then when you get that bonus or some extra money or whatever, you decide to send the mortgage company one extra payment above that. If you make 2 extra payments a year, you'll pay your mortgage off in 17 years. Okay? So, yes, owning where you live and paying a little bit extra. And for those, some people say, well, Lynn, should I get a 15-year mortgage? I would say get the 30-year mortgage with the lower interest rate, because the 15-year mortgage is going to be a slightly higher payment and you're stuck. But if you take the 30-year mortgage and you just pay extra, you have the option to make the higher or the lower payment and pay the mortgage off in 17 to 15 years if you so desire. So excellent, excellent question. What's next?
I believe you have answered all of the questions. I've gone through them a couple of times. Unless someone has something else, I think you're done for right now.
Yeah, I would love for the person who has questions about the reverse mortgage to speak up, because I want that person to get educated and I want that person to very, very clearly explain their fears, because unfortunately, we are talking about financial health and wellness for Black and Brown communities, and we are the ones who are losing. And if you are someone who is out there with a license and influencing someone with fear, then you are not helping them win, you are helping them lose. And what I want to do is I want to dispel the fear and the myths and get to the facts, because anyone who explores the facts of a reverse mortgage can only come up with one conclusion. And the one conclusion is that it is good for seniors who have financial troubles. We're not talking about such seniors who got excellent credit, who have enough money to get a home equity line of credit, who've got a job or a bank statement or W-2s, and they can qualify in their debt ratio. We're talking about those seniors. And if everyone here is honest, you may know a senior who is struggling. And let me tell you something. Prayer does not change financial struggle. We have to take action with prayer. Knowledge is not power until it's put into action. And faith without work is dead. So we have to take our faith and we have to add the work to it in order to make things happen. So I'm here to take more questions, and I'd love to. And I'd more specifically love to speak to whomever it is who still has questions about the reverse mortgage, because I know that's one of the areas that plagues us as a community.
There is a question of, I know we're not talking about car loans, but they asked if it's a way to do the car loan the way that you talked about doing a home loan, by paying an extra payment. Is it wise to pay off a car loan in one payment to assure it is paid?
It is always wise to make extra payments on any debt. Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's never not wise to not make extra payments. Anytime you make an extra payment, you're going to pay less interest. You're going to pay it off sooner. Yes.
So if you move out of your home due to various reasons, let's say assisted living, what happens to your reverse mortgage?
The reverse mortgage is not due the payment on it is not due until the mortgage passes. So it doesn't matter if you move out or not. I can't imagine why you would move because you're living for free. But even if you do move for some reason, the payment is not due until you pass on. And you can Google fraud, you can Google financial impropriety, but you're not going to find any Google negative stories on a reverse mortgage. The government does not want your house. I need y'all to understand that. They're not trying to come and get you. Even when the person passes on, they work with the heirs to put the property on the market and sell it, or otherwise transfer the property to the rightful owner after the mortgage is paid off. The question that I always have for children who are sobbing and crying, talking about, we don't want mama to have a reverse mortgage. Well, are you going to help her pay her bills and her light, her gas, and her diabetes medication? No, you're not, because you don't have any money. So stop talking about what you want to do and stop talking about what is ideal when you're not in an ideal position to deliver. If you can't deliver for your parent, let go and let your parent get something that's going to provide some relief. And the one thing that I always say to seniors, and I want you all to understand, I don't make money off reverse mortgages. I never have, not $1. So I'm not talking about something so I can make money. I'm telling you what the truth is. Every time I talk to a bunch of kids about their parent getting a reverse mortgage, nobody has any resources to help them. If you've got resources, then we don't need to have this conversation. But if you don't, then let your senior citizen in your life have some relief. And the one thing that I would add as a caveat is to get a mortgage, credit, life insurance policy when the reverse mortgage closes, so that the mortgage and the increasing balance will be paid off when they pass on. That's it. And if they have an estate plan that we talked about in stair step number 5, see, the other problem with this is there's a whole lot of people talking with no solutions. And there's a whole lot of people talking without putting the proper steps in place. And those are the things that get me teed off, quite frankly. Because what I see is I see people suffering and they don't have to. Not when you have knowledge. And my question is, when you have no knowledge, you got questions. And when you got knowledge, you still got questions that don't make you advance beyond the knowledge that you have. Advance beyond knowledge that you have and get answers and take action. But everybody, stop letting our seniors suffer, okay? There is help, and it's called a reverse mortgage. If you don't have the money to help them, get a reverse mortgage. If they don't have the money to help themselves, get a reverse mortgage. Okay? What's next?
Okay, I heard about the NACA program to help minorities become homeowners. Do you recommend this program?
I do not recommend any programs that is not the purpose of my lesson here today. If you wish to get a homeownership analysis, you can go to asklynn.org, and I have a team of people that can look at your individual circumstances, but I cannot endorse any privately supported programs today. The FA 203K is a government program. The reverse mortgage is a government program. Kitty condo is government. Okay? So what I will tell you is what the government will endorse, but I cannot tell you about any other private organizations. You're going to have to get an individual analysis for that. But thank you so much for asking.
How do you find a HUD advisor?
Go to HUD.gov or speak with your mortgage professional. Go to asklynn.org if you need further assistance, or go to lynnrichardson.org to ask the question and get links to folks, and also to deltafoundation.net with additional resources that we will supply. So you can do the proper research and find the people who support what it is that you have for your vision.
All right. So I have a reverse mortgage question. Can you leave your home to an heir?
The answer is yes. You can leave your home to an heir if you have a reverse mortgage. You do not have to worry about disinheriting your heirs. But I also want you to remember, it's your heirs who couldn't help you live. It's your heirs couldn't help you pay your bills. So your first priority is to make sure you can live the rest of your life in peace. And your heirs are second. But yes, you can leave the property to your heir. You want to ensure that the mortgage is paid off. And that's why you want a mortgage credit life insurance policy. Okay? So that's a great question. And I know, as I'm a mother, I'm not a grandmother yet, but I know as senior citizens, you're so concerned about your family members. But if they can't help you while you're alive, you need to help yourself. And that's just the truth, okay? So your first priority is to make sure you can live in peace. And the second priority is to make sure that you can then pass it on to your heirs. And you can do so with a credit life insurance policy. Yes, absolutely. And that goes back to stair step number 5. You got to protect your wealth. That's how you protect your wealth, with insurance. Next question.
You mentioned refinance. I got a HELOC through my credit union, whose interest rates keeps growing. Can I get a reverse mortgage to continue to rehab my parents' home, which I paid to keep?
You have to call in for individual consultation. I cannot answer that question. I don't know how much of a home equity loan you have. I don't know how much you owe on the home. I don't know what the value of the home is. So if I were to tell you an answer, I would be telling an untruth, and I don't do that. So what you're going to have to do is go through the process and get a diagnosis so that you can understand your situation. But I love the questioning, and I love the fact that you're opening up to new ideas. Thank you for that question.
It is good when you pay extra money on your mortgage that you designate, or is this a question? Okay. You said it was good to pay extra money on your mortgage. Do you designate the extra money to go directly to the principal, or does it go to the interests on the
Principal.
home? Okay. So when you pay the extra mortgage payment, it goes to the principal.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Recently, quit claimed an 88-year-old condo deed. It's fully paid for. They intend to stay in the home and it needs work. Should it be transferred back and put into a trust, or get a reverse mortgage?
What you need to do is talk to a financial coach and an attorney, because I cannot answer that question here. I don't know why you all come to these general sessions with these specific situations, but I can't answer that because I don't have enough information. I'd be lying to you if I gave you an answer. Okay? So you want to have an individual consultation with someone so that they can review all of the details of what it is that you're saying to determine if what you can do is possible and the questions that you're asking, what the answers to them are. And listen, don't take a lack of an answer here as a throw in the towel. Because sometimes you all show up at these webinars, and if you don't get the answer you want to hear, you throw in the towel. Don't throw in the towel. You're asking the wrong question of the wrong person at the wrong time. I'm not the person to ask that question to. You have to have a one-on-one consultation and then know when and where you can ask a general question or you can ask a very specific question that requires a diagnosis. Okay. So if someone could answer that question in general, I'm going to say right now, they're a liar. And that's not what I do. So you want to set up an individual consultation. Okay. Thank you for that question.
For clarity, when you said pay mortgage every other week, do you mean split the full payment?
Yep. So if you pay $1,000 a month, split it in half and pay $500 every 2 weeks, you will essentially pay one extra payment a year. That is exactly what I mean. Take the full payment, split it in half, and pay it every other week. Excellent, excellent question. Thank you.
Absolutely. Can you only get the mortgage credit life insurance policy if you have a reverse mortgage, or even for your current mortgage balance?
Excellent, excellent question. I recommend that everyone get one. So whenever I buy a piece of real estate, I always buy life insurance to cover the person who owes it all the time. If something happened to this person tomorrow, I want the mortgage paid. I always get a life insurance policy whenever there's a mortgage. So absolutely, you can do it for any mortgage for any person at any time. The question is, what is the premium? What is their health? And so I encourage you to do it early on, as soon as possible, and get that coverage that you need. It's a brilliant way to build and maintain wealth.
Thank you. And someone is curious about when are we going to use the calculator that you
Aha!
just
We have strategy time coming up. So this is stair step number 6. We have 7 and 8, and then I have 2 whole weeks where I'm not going to talk. I'm only going to listen. And I pray that you come back here with me and we get into some real deal, and I can show some things on the screen, and I can show you how to manipulate your own life for your own benefit. I know people have asked for an app. I'm sick of people asking for apps. Get a calculator. Do the math. What are you afraid of? Punch the buttons. Learn what the factors mean and learn how to create your own wealth for where it is that you are trying to go. How do you know that the app even has the right information in it? I want to teach you what to put in the app. Okay. So, yes, I'm excited about that. So, if you've got that calculator, and most of them, they're under $50. If you living by the 10, 10, 30, 50, give up some ice cream, give up some coffee. All you got to do is give up 5 cups of coffee to afford your calculator. Okay. So, I'm excited about that.
Okay, we're at the bottom of the hour, and it looks like we have answered more questions. All the questions, I'm sorry.
Okay, excellent. We've answered all the questions. Okay, we're going to turn it back over to our beautiful moderators. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. Again, you are able to watch this program, this session, on YouTube or on the DREF website. You are also able to find supporting documents and helpful tips on the DREF website as well. We encourage you next week to bring some men. We need to ensure that our men are financially well. So please invite family members, friends, neighbors. We'll be here same time, same place next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week's topic on Thursday, October 26th is maximize your credit health. That will be a good one as well. We thank you all for joining us this evening. Take care, do your homework, save your money, pay yourselves, and we'll see you next week. Take care.